Hello and welcome to Visiting Dugout, a Fans First Sports Network production. I am Crystal O'Keefe. Today I have the wonderful Britt back to chat about the Giants. Britt, please reintroduce yourself in case those forgot.
Hi. So I am Britt, most frequently from Casual Diehard. So if you like the weird intersection of baseball and Formula One and NASCAR, that's where you can find it.
It's true. I've been on some Formula One podcasts last year. I learned a lot. We did some astrology. It was wonderful.
The astrology was great.
It was you, me, and Addie, and it was great. We were doing their big three and everything. Good times.
Yeah, we got in deep.
Oh, we did. All right. So, but this is the baseball at this moment. So, what is new with the Giants?
Oh, that's an excellent question. They're in an interesting spot right now in that they show moments of a lot of promise and then moments of not as much. They're hovering right around 500, which spiritually feels accurate aside from just being mathematically accurate. But I do think that they're actually in a decent place right now in that the pitching is really as good as you could ask for. And there's a lot of young talent in the lineup. In addition to Matt Chapman and Mark Hanna, who are obviously great, veteran presence kind of guys. So it's an interesting combination right now.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I mean the division that the Giants are in is rough because you have the Dodgers, obviously. You have Dylan Cease's Padres. He owns my world. That's canon. And then the Diamondbacks, who were in the World Series last year, and then you sit just under the Diamondbacks. And I looked last year; it was 10.5 games back, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, to be honest, especially not in that division. So, what do the Giants need to do? Not saying necessarily that they're going to climb up this season, but what do they need to do to just set themselves up for more success in the next season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that they need really is just consistency from the lineup. I think because there is a lot of young talent that's definitely within the realm of possibility. That doesn't feel like an impossible task.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that I really think they need to not let Matt Chapman leave. They need somebody to be the anchor of that clubhouse and that lineup. He has very quickly stepped into that role. He's obviously really comfortable with Bob Melvin. He's comfortable in the Bay Area. He's a California kid, even if he is from LA. So I think they really need to not lose that presence. Because I think the combination of him and younger guys like Tyler Fitzgerald and Elliot Ramos, Patrick Bailey, who's spiritually a little bit older, even if he's not necessarily chronologically, have the potential to be really, good pieces long term. They just need to get consistent performance from them and then to have some sort of anchor.
So he's locked in until 2027.
He has an opt-out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's where it gets dicey. Yeah. He has that opt-out. So we'll see what happens there. The impression that I've gotten is that he doesn't really want to take the opt-out, but he also would like, more security than he has with that length of contract, which obviously is not going into the off season is not what he expected to get. So I don't blame him for that. So, I mean, I think there's a very, very good possibility that they can come to some sort of agreement that makes everyone happy.
Yeah, that would make sense. He would be a good one to keep after all. And yeah, you do have a ton of young people, because I was looking at pitching matchups too, because all of our pitchers right now on the White Sox are babies. They were born in the 2000s, which grosses me out.
Yeah, I'm still not okay with that. I'm not. come around to that fact yet.
No. So it didn't look like there were a ton of there were no splashy moves at the trade deadline, really just kind of small potatoes ones. But how did you feel about the moves they did actually make?
Honestly, I think what they did was the right move. I think they were in a position where they didn't want to give up young talent because they're going to need that when the window really opens. Mm-hmm. And they also weren't one big piece away from really like making a huge charge. So I think it was the right move. Personally, I love Mark Canha, who is like was their big move at the deadline. Mm-hmm. And he's one of my favorites. I've loved him for a long time. So he's great. And he obviously he's thrilled to be back home, be with Bob Melvin, be with Matt Chapman. And I mean, it feels like a really good fit. And I've sort of felt like that was a good fit for a long time and was sort of disappointed that they didn't really seem to be like making a play for him during the offseason the past couple of years. So I'm glad that it eventually worked out.
Yeah, we're big Mark Canha girlies at Casual Diehard, especially. Yes, I remember he was on the Tigers for opening day this year, who the White Sox did play, and was like, I don't really want to go see my team necessarily play, but like Jesse was coming into town and Mark Canha was playing, and I was like, well, that I guess is worth it.
Right, there you go.
I'm going to get as close of seats as we can to where he will be so that I can watch him.
There you go.
It's going to be brutal otherwise. And I mean, the Tigers won. It was not a pleasant game. But alas, that's my life. Speaking of pleasant games, I did make it out to San Francisco this year, and I went to the infamous Pelican game.
Oh my goodness.
So, and Jason Benetti was on the call for that too, which was even better.
Incredible.
I had to go back and listen and watch all the highlights from it because we were right there. We were up a little higher because I wanted a good view of like the whole park and the bay and everything. But this Pelican was right by us, so we got to see all the action. And then when it finally left the field, it made it over, like there's that kids zone, and then there's this little spot next to it that's like kind of fenced off. I think it might just be more of a kid zone where you can maybe like throw baseballs and stuff around. So it landed in that kind of gated off area. So they had to evacuate that. All the kids had to leave. And it just sat in there for a good 20 minutes. I'm not even exaggerating. And there was
I missed that part. That's incredible.
Yeah. They weren't showing it after that. They only showed the Pelican on the field. He sat in there for a good 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Like some employee for the Giants eventually came and was trying to like shoo him out of there, and he got booed, like mercifully booed. That poor employee. I felt so bad. So finally he just kind of gave up. Like it kind of perched itself on something in that same area, and then eventually it left. I'm not even kidding when I say it was at least 20 minutes of him just sitting in there, just watching the game, being, as carefree as he could. And all these kids were just standing outside there like, come on, dude. But yeah, that was the best memory I have from that game with the Pelican. Couldn't even tell you who they played at this point. I just remember the Pelican.
Yeah, I don't even remember who they were playing either. But I do remember the Pelican. So clearly we know what the priorities are.
It was Hello Kitty Day. Some asshole took all of the Hello Kitty hats. He had like 5 massive, like reusable bags full of these hats that he was trying to sell. And I was like, these were geared towards little girls. Like they had the Girl Scouts here today.
Right.
It's Mother's Day weekend. You're an asshole and you have
unacceptable
hundreds of these hats that I didn't get, by the way. Oh, I was furious. But let's be honest. But I got the Pelican, so it was fine. Lovely place. So, well, that's what I have with the Giants. We can take a very quick break, and then we can get into this fun series.
That's good.
Woohoo. It's gonna be a bloodbath. Okay, welcome back. So I've been refreshing the probable pitchers page. The Giants haven't put anybody up yet, but as far as the White Sox, you will see Jonathan Cannon for the first game. He's been pretty good. He's a baby, but he's shown signs of life. Davis Martin, who's been okay, and then you'll see Garrett Crochet for the last game, which right now is kind of hit or miss, unfortunately. But what can you tell me about this Giants pitching rotation?
Well, assuming they don't finagle anything with the rotation, I think it should be Kyle Harrison, Robbie Ray, and then Logan Webb for this series. That's assuming that that's assuming they don't move anything around or stick in a bullpen game there or something, which they might. They're kind of trying to give Kyle Harrison some extra rest, but he's also only thrown, I think, a little over 100 innings this year. So he doesn't really need it, but he was on the IL a little bit earlier in the year and it's his first full season. So obviously, August, September can be rough for guys that first year because it's just workload wise, it's just a lot compared to what they're used to. So, but those are the three it should be, assuming that nothing changes. Kind of a mixed bag that Robbie Ray has shown moments of being the Robbie Ray that you can have come to expect in his good times. But he also is coming off a truly apocalyptically terrible start the last time out.
Yeah.
He didn't make it out of the first inning. So mixed bag. Could go a lot of ways. Kyle Harrison, like I said, it's his first full season. He is great. He was one of my favorites in the minors. I actually saw his first professional start in San Jose now many moons ago, it feels like. He has an incredible amount of talent. I do really think that he's going to have a really good career and that he's going to be really, really, really good when it all comes down to it. And he's had a solid season. It just hasn't been as consistent as I think he would have wanted. But again, not the first young pitcher to have that happen. So definitely the possibility for him to do really well. His command is his biggest thing. As is so often the case, walks get him in trouble. But he's got some incredible stuff. He doesn't throw super duper hard, but he's got incredible movement on a lot of his pitches and can just be really, really nasty when he's on. And then Logan Webb is Logan Webb. I mean, he's been the ace of the staff for a couple of years now for good reason. He didn't have as great a start to the season as, again, I think he would have wanted, but he's been very, very good. He's coming off a sub 2 hour complete game shutout.
Yeah.
So that was weird and fun. I missed the beginning of that game and I turned it on. I was like, how was it already like the 6th inning? Because he was just ridiculously efficient. And he's had a good run of starts in a row that were really good. So mixed bag, but I feel like at least one of those should be good on the Giant side.
Yeah, that's true. I was watching some of those highlights from Logan Webb the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go against this. He's so good. He's always been so good. But it seems like it's a really even matchup because, again, Jonathan Cannon, first year, hasn't finished a whole season yet, so that'll be nice. And then Davis Martin and Robbie Ray, I feel like, are kind of in this similar boat. Davis Martin came back just from injury, so he's kind of new to the season. He hasn't really pitched a lot. And then Garrett Crochet is, I guess, the ace on this team. So
he's certainly the one making headlines, at least.
Oh gosh, yeah, negative mostly, but yes. I talked to every single person that's been on this since that came out has been like, so how did you feel? I was like, you know what? It was like my Lucille Bluth moment of like, well, good for her, but at the same time, I'm just like probably bit you in the butt a little.
Yeah, it was a bold move on his part. And I absolutely get where he's coming from. So again, like good for him for sort of taking a stand and having a very clear like set of expectations and sort of knowing his own value. But yeah, it's a dicey move at the same time.
It's dicey when you're coming from the White Sox and you're the ace on the White Sox, because that doesn't translate well to anything else.
Right. Not as strong a bargaining position as it could be.
No, it's a little tough, but I am excited to see Robbie Ray just because of the whole tight pants movement from like 2 seasons ago.
Oh, and his pants are as tight as ever. So you will not be disappointed in that regard.
Great. I'm going to stay awake for these games. Like 9:45 my time.
Yeah, that's rough. I don't miss living back east and trying to watch Giants games where it's 10 o'clock before the games even start. And I'm like trying to desperately to stay asleep or stay awake.
Thankfully, my kids are pretty responsible. And like, because my son has to be up super early. His bus gets here at like 6:45.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So thankfully, he's typically responsible. And if he's not and he oversleeps, he can walk to school in less than 5 minutes because it's like basically across the street. And my daughter, she doesn't have to be up until like 8. So the joys of having them in 2 different schools where all, because it's broken up into like 3 different types, like the elementary and then middle school and high school, and they're all on different times, of course. So
Of course.
makes it so easy on mom. So I'll just be a zombie in the morning. It's okay.
It'll be fun.
It'll be brutal, but yeah. So with this Giants team, who would you think is the biggest threat to the White Sox right now?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I sort of have 2 answers there. And one is based more on just historical performance, and one is based more on a hysterical hot streak. Tyler Fitzgerald has hit 14 home runs this season. 13 of them have been since the beginning of July, and 12 of them have been in the past month.
Oh my God.
So that's an interesting, I'm not sure what's happening there. And neither is anyone else, I don't think. He is not somebody who was scouted as having a lot of power in the minors. He's sort of a lanky middle infielder. Like, he's tall, but has that very like middle infielder, maybe center fielder, which is what he plays, body type. So you don't look at him and think, oh yeah, he's going to hit for a bunch of power. He was a guy who ran. He was a guy who he might hit doubles and triples, but it would be because he hit them into the gap and he could stretch them out. And all of a sudden he hit a home run in 5 straight games. He had a couple of 2 home run games, like just absolutely bonkers. So we'll see whether that continues. And then Matt Chapman is Matt Chapman. He's been playing much more like himself than he was at the start of the season. I think they said up during the broadcast last night, or yesterday afternoon, I want to say he's hitting like 320 over the past month or 2 months since the break, give or take. So he's back to being sort of the Matt Chapman you expect, and his defense has never changed. So he's always liable to start stealing hits because he just makes defensive plays that nobody else can make.
Luis Robert finally woke up in a game. It would have been 2 days ago at this point, I think. So we also have Andrew Benintendi.
I keep forgetting that Benintendi is with the White Sox.
I wish I could forget every day of my life. And he's here for like what feels like 10 more years.
Oh no.
I mean, they're no Matt Chapman, but it's really embarrassing to be a White Sox fan right now. What are the keys for the Giants to win this series? Because again, the White Sox took 1 game from the Yankees, and they took 1 game from the Astros that I was supposed to cover and went to a concert instead.
I mean, it is 100%. Please, for the love of God, hit with runners in scoring position. Like that has been their bugaboo for forever, but particularly for the past couple of weeks. They lost 2 games in extra innings back to back by 1 run against the Braves because they just could not get a runner over or get a runner in when they needed to. Mm-hmm. Like unproductive ground outs or strikeouts when they absolutely needed something to like move a runner over. Like for the love of God, get a slack fly. Like just couldn't get it together. And then they got shut out by the A's yesterday. So it's definitely like they don't need to score a lot of runs because again, the pitching has been very good. Mm-hmm. But they got to score some. And like if they can get 3 runs or maybe 4, if I'm feeling real greedy, reliably, they're going to win the vast majority of those games. The pitching has been very, very, very solid. And even when Robbie Ray like imploded the other night, I think they only gave up like, well, no, it melted down pretty badly. But they like last night, Hayden Birdsong gave up 2 runs in, I think 4 1/3, 4 2/3. And the bullpen gave up 1 more run the rest of the game. So they don't need to score a lot, but they got to score more than they have been.
Yeah. I understand that sentiment. The White Sox, I think it was the second game against the Yankees. The Yankees kind of blew up offensively late in the game. And they had a chance to come back. They were, I think, only down by 3. They had the bases loaded with 2 outs in the 9th. And Andrew Vaughn couldn't put anything together. And I was like, they walked 2 players. And I was like, they gave us 2 free passes.
Was that a Clay Holmes meltdown?
Maybe, yeah. I think
it sounds like him lately. Yeah. I had to ask.
I think so.
I missed most of those games.
Oh, the one was really fun. Here's Willow to cause trouble. So with that, do you have any fears aside from just not hitting with RISP while you head into this series?
I mean, the fear is always, I think, with the Giants, and this may be teams in general. I just feel like it's so particular to them at the same time. Pitchers that they are not familiar with can just befuddle them in the most absurd ways sometimes. So even aside from the not getting the hit when you really need it side of things, just really not being able to put anything together against unfamiliar pitchers is always a concern. And then the Robbie Ray situation just he hasn't been consistent yet. Obviously, he's coming off a long layoff because of injury. So, can he get it together a little bit? If for no other reason, then the bullpen's going to die if he doesn't. Like, they can only throw so many innings.
Yeah, that's always brutal when you have to tax a bullpen that much, especially because he didn't make it out of the first inning recently. That's rough. Moving away from this series, I wanted to talk more MLB in general because I know you're also partial to the Yankees.
I am.
And just how you're feeling overall with not even necessarily the Yankees, just this season in general, how you're feeling, what your hot takes are, things like that.
Honestly, I think it's been interesting. It's been more competitive in a lot of ways than I expected. I was just reading an article on MLB.com about Bobby Witt that, I really like him a lot. And so it's been nice to see the Royals be competitive. Mm-hmm. That's not something I necessarily expected this year. So that's been fun. Having the Dodgers not be absolute world beaters certainly makes things more interesting. The Padres are really nipping at their heels. So that's been fun on just a competitive level, aside from the fact that I would love the Dodgers to absolutely shit the bed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think it's overall been a real like hot and cold in that sense, that the teams that are bad are like apocalyptically bad, a handful of them. But everybody else is like a little more competitive and a little closer together than I expected. Yankees wise, they sort of they are what they are always seem to be lately, which is that like they're a very good team that gives me agita. Like they stress me out so badly. And it feels bad to say that because again, they're a very, very good team. Like I'm complaining about a team that has Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Like that just feels rude. But you know, they stress me out a little bit. But I think as seems to always be the case, they have as good a chance of really, really finally actually putting it together and winning for real as anybody does. So I guess we'll see. Let's see how that goes.
It's been fun to kind of watch the back and forth with the Yankees and the Orioles because, again, me sitting in the American League is like, I just hope both of them lose. But at the same time, I'm just like, this is really fun to watch. And I can't actually hate most of their teams because I like so many players from both of those teams.
Yeah.
But it's been fun to just kind of watch them back and forth like siblings almost, just fighting for like mom's love and affection. That is what their kind of race has felt like all season long, even when, you know, the Yankees kind of went through a rough patch and the Orioles can be a little hit or miss, but they're still, I mean, the best. And then the stupid Guardians, but whatever. I don't even want to talk about that. Someone asked me actually recently if I feel like the Guardians run is fake. And I'm like, no, sadly, I debate.
I wish. But
they've got that power. They've always had that power. They've really honed in on it recently, to my dismay.
Yeah, I think your point about the Orioles is absolutely accurate. I also like them a lot, even when they are sort of a thorn in my side. I think they've got so many just like really fun players, and the energy with the team is really fun. And it's very funny with them and the Yankees because they're so different, like just vibes wise. They're very different teams. And so yeah, watching them compete is very, very fun, even when it is stressful. And I would be, you know, if the Yankees don't take it all the way, then I would be super happy for the Orioles. Like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson deserve the world, as far as I'm concerned. So
we've spent probably countless hours just praising Adley in the past anyway.
Yeah,
that MLB shop commercial came out last year.
Yes.
I feel like it was just a group chat of us sending tweets about Adley Rutschman back and forth for days on end.
It was the MLB shop commercial, and then the video of him working out and just constantly quoting, "I think you should leave."
Yes.
Big like right at the same time.
Yeah, because it was like right after the newest season came out, and that's all he was doing, and people were just so confused. I love it. That's all I do is quote that. I think that's one of my only personalities. But it's funny that you said that because I've always viewed, and this is not even a negative thing, because I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I've always kind of viewed the Yankees as like the serious stormtroopers. You've got these serious dudes that are, well, stormtroopers aren't lethal. They can't like actually hit anything, but like you think of the stormtroopers as these like scary, serious people. And then you've got the Orioles that are kind of like the Ewoks, who are really cute. They're like adorable, slightly dangerous. Like you can't fully trust them, but like they put on this like little cutesy show and you're like, oh, I love them. And then they like decimate your team. So that's just how I view them in my little closed off Star Wars universe.
I think that's very accurate. And I've said before, I think the Yankees are at their best when they accept that they are the evil empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're at the best when they walk into a game like, we're the Yankees. Obviously, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
They are like the Cowboys are America's team, the Yankees are America's team, but good.
Right.
Whereas the Cowboys haven't been well since the 90s.
Yeah. Oh my God. My dad's a Cowboys fan, alas. So, but I think the thing with the Yankees too is that they are at their best when they accept that they're the evil empire, but also at the same time, like on an individual level, they don't have to be. And I think finding that balance when like they don't have to not have their individual personalities, like they can be who they are. Like Alex Verdugo is not a typical Yankees personality, and he surprisingly has fit in that clubhouse really well by all accounts. He and Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are very different people.
Yeah.
And again, when they're really firing on all cylinders and when they're really playing well is when they've all got that attitude of like, we're the Yankees. Who do you think you are? But still being themselves, I think is when they're the happiest. It's when they play the best.
It's funny with all those personalities because they are all really likable people. I mean, I think they're all goofy. And then when you add Jazz into the mix,
yeah,
now he's injured, but like when you add him into the mix, you've got a bunch of just on the surface really goofy, funny guys. Like, and then Garrett Cole is hilarious.
Garrett Cole's hilarious. Whether he intends to be or not, he is hilarious.
He has my favorite, just kind of deadpan humor, especially when he's like making fun of reporters that ask dumb questions. I mean, I will never forget those clips. But you have a bunch of really funny, really likable guys. So it's so wild that the Yankees are this evil empire.
Right.
Because then you watch videos of Aaron Judge with Gus on the field running around.
Right.
Like, this is the cutest thing in the world.
Right. The largest man in baseball running around with his tiny dogs.
Teeny tiny dog that's not even as big as his foot.
Right.
Like you're just obsessed and it's so cute. And you're like, how you can't actually hate these guys. Maybe you can hate like the front office, but you can't. I struggle with hating them.
The team as an entity is one thing. The individual players are a very different thing at this stage. I think when it was like Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter, that was easier, right? Like, as an opposing fan, it's much easier to look at them and be like, these guys, and be sort of over it. But yeah, like you said, Aaron Judge and his tiny dogs, and Garrett Cole being just a total goober. Jazz and Alex Verdugo having very much their own energy. Luke Weaver, who is sneakily one of the weirdest, funniest dudes. Like his interviews are consistently unbelievably funny. Yeah, it's just like it's a really fun bunch. I enjoy all of them, and it is an interesting sort of balance that way, though.
And I personally just love watching Juan Soto crush a ball. Like I wish that everyone could have a Juan Soto because he's so good.
When everyone is playing well, having Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Giancarlo Stanton like all together is otherworldly fun and also terrifying. Like the thing that I love about the three of them is I want to say the three of them all hit a home run in the same game recently. If it wasn't in the same game, it was like back-to-back games for the or something.
I think you're right.
But they hit very different home runs, which I love. Aaron Judge hits these like very majestic, like rainbow arc moonshot kind of home runs that are just like the aesthetic ideal of like what you want a home run to look like. And Stanton, and to a lesser degree Juan Soto, hit like angry home runs. Like Stanton hits line drives that somehow go 500 feet. Like there is no height, there is no arc. It's a laser that just shoots over everyone's heads and lands in the stands. And it's so much fun to watch them together.
So, and Aaron Judge back to him, he did just hit his 300th career home run.
He did.
Becoming, honestly, probably the best player in the game, fastest to get there. He hit that in Chicago.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
There were a couple people kind of from the Southside Sox world that were in Slack, and they went to that game. I mean, they also gave away this incredible jersey for like Black History Night kind of thing.
Cool.
But they were at that game and they did not think that Aaron Judge, they were honestly there to see it happen. They didn't think he was going to have another opportunity to bat. So they left.
Oh no.
And then they say something in the Slack, and I was like, tell me you guys stayed, because they left like maybe 10 minutes before.
Oh no.
And I was like, please tell me you guys at least got to see that home run. They're like, nope, we didn't think he was going to have another at bat. And I was like,
oh
no,
that's brutal. That's brutal.
Oh, I would have paid to watch that. And
right.
Sucks.
Oh
but
my gosh.
Yeah, he's been impressive. The last time I saw the Yankees in person was when Judge was out with the toe injury last season.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Juan Soto yet there, and Stanton was having a pretty bad year.
Yeah, it was grim there for a little while.
Yeah, I made it, and they were playing the Royals, who were not good yet, because again, this was last season.
Right.
So now I'm just like, if I could have just revisited that this year and watched those two teams play, that would have been a really better game. Alas, I was a year early.
The Giants came to San Francisco early this season, and so of course I went because it was like perfect. And Aaron Judge single-handedly dismantled the Giants so badly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like I'm sitting there like in Giants gear, obviously, but I'm sitting there with one of my best friends, and I'm like trying not to just burst out laughing, because he is just manhandling them so badly. Again, purely on his own. And trying not to just like make myself the enemy of everyone sitting around me as they're like grumbling and can't believe they're watching this. Yeah, Juan Soto dismantled the White Sox in that series. He was even great in the game that the White Sox did win. I think he hit like 3 home runs in one game. I think he was like the solo home run hitter for one of the games, and they won. Oh my gosh. So that's where we're at with that. Anyway, that's what I've got for you. I won't get into being a depressing fan, or a fan of a depressing team. There we go. Words are hard. But yeah, so again, thank you so much. Please just remind people where they can find you. Yeah, you can find me on Casual Diehard just about every week. You can find us wherever podcasts are sold. So your podcast distributor of choice. You can also find us on the artist formerly known as Twitter or Blue Sky. And you'll hear all you want about baseball and racing and who knows what else in between. That's also where you find Dugout of History. So if you don't know about Casual Diehard already, then you're failing me. So yes, listen to all of the good stuff over there. All right, well, thank you. Best of luck in this series. This actually might be an interesting one for a change. I think it actually could be. So, all right, maybe a Pelican will land again and play defense for the White Sox. Who knows? All right, well, good talking to you. I'll see you later. Sounds good. Thanks. Bye.